Okay, we have a lot to get through today, so no interrupting this time, or else. Okay, what's on the list here? Okay, so the first thing that I will talk about is my Coke story of how I switched from Pepsi to Coke, because as a child and preteen, I was very into Pepsi, which I later realized I think was because of all the Spice Girls product placement, because they were Pepsi, right? They used to have the Pepsi ball, whatever it was. They used to have that on their like clothes and stuff. I think they were doing some endorsement for Pepsi for a while. I feel like that's why I was a Pepsi person, but I don't know that that's true. Wasn't conscious anyways. So I was really into Pepsi. I even had like t-shirts from Blue Notes that said whatever on it, Pepsi. And then, when I was like 13, 14, I got really into advertising, and I used to watch this show called Ad Persuasion. It was on TV Tropolis or something, I have no idea. And basically, they like they would play a commercial, like an ad, not commercial, and then certain advertisement people would like talk about its merits and whatever, and I was like super into it. And it's made me a total advertisement snob ever since. And one of the ones that they did was like something to do with Pepsi and Coke. They did it, I'm sure, a couple of them. But I started to realize that Pepsi commercials are really aimed at bashing Coke or comparing themselves to Coke and saying like even Coke truck drivers is one of their big campaigns, prefer Pepsi. And it's always about making Coke look bad. But you never see a Coke ad that tries to put down Pepsi. They are just about their image. They do a lot of great ones. Like they had this great one where the guy puts like money in a vending machine and you get to see the whole inside of it, and there's like these little monster things that they like bottle the Coke, and then it comes out. Oh, it was so cute and so well done. And they just do so many memorable ads. This was sparked by something that I posted on Tumblr about a feel-good ad that they do. They do a lot of feel-good ads, especially combined with their charity work. Cheryl mentioned to me that she noticed they do a lot of charity work, and it's true, like they do World Wildlife Foundation, stuff like that. I think they might do one of those like give schools food thing. I don't know. Anyways, so they're just like, Pepsi, do whatever you want, and then it makes Pepsi look really petty, but year after year Pepsi keeps doing this. So I gotta wonder, like, I don't know. It makes me think really badly of Pepsi. And so I switched to Coke, and then I fell in love with Diet Coke a couple years later, unrelated, and so now I'm Diet Coke. Anyways, so that's my story. And you know, you'll see this with a lot of competing brands, that there'll be two brands, one of them always bashes the other one. What on earth could that have been? I'm the only one here. That was weird. It was plastic spoon I used to make dinner just fell off the counter. Literally no one's here but me. You'll notice that a lot with competing brands, that one of them will always bash the other or compare or do some sort of like testing, you know, compare, whatever, and they'll have like split screen. And the other one just doesn't bother with that. And so I always tend to prefer the one that doesn't engage in that kind of behavior, because I have totally become an advertisement snob. Probably what I should have went to school for, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, so that's my Coke story. And I really like that their ads really did help them, because it was advertisement that convinced me. And there's nothing wrong with letting yourself be persuaded by advertisement as long as it's a conscious decision, because I mean, sometimes, you know, they do stuff like product placement with the Spice Girls, like, hello, that was totally unconscious. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And, you know, if you let yourself be affected by advertisement in that way, then, like, that's where it gets its sneaky reputation from. But there's nothing wrong with looking at advertisements, saying, good point, and, you know, making decisions based off that. So don't hate on ads, yo. That's what I say. I got this ice cap. I had just dropped off Rick at on campus. He has a class in the evening, and I got this on the way there, and normally I get them made with milk because it's less calories, and I kind of like the taste better now. But what happens with that is if you let it sit for even like 2 minutes, then it starts to separate. And if I had just let this sit in the car while I dropped him off and came all the way home, it would have been like this much, would have been like the dark flavor, and then up here would have been more like ice. So I had to get it without it, but it's a good pro tip, pro Tim Hortons tip if you are a Tim Hortons drinker. If you're gonna drink it right away, get it made with milk, otherwise don't do that. Okay, I've never talked about like sexuality in one of these before. I don't know, something I don't really talk about too much, but I was thinking about it recently, having some problems with like the idea of choosing one person and being committed to being like with that gender, whatever. And when I was talking to my therapist about it, and she was trying to tell me like people, they don't know what their sexual orientation is, like it's okay to be confused, and I'm like, well, I'm not confused about that, I'm just confused about like how I'm supposed to like live like this, like, and this is what I came up with as my explanation. I didn't say this to her, but this is what I came up with in my explanation. The way I feel towards women is like, it's like a craving for sugar. Like when you want it, it's everywhere. Everybody has it. Fruit, candy, whatever, like iced coffee. And when you want it, you like can't get it out of your head until you have it, and then you like feel better, right? But it's not, it's something that maybe you could live without if you like really like kicked the habit, but for the rest of your life you would always like be craving it, but you could probably force yourself not to have it. Whereas like the way I feel towards men is more like protein, where when you crave it, it's like you really need it, and it's not like it's the greatest, most like amazing thing, like your favorite food. And I know like obviously there's lots of proteins that are awesome, like bacon and steak or whatever, but you know, it's not the same level of like want it, but you can't, the longer you go without it, like the harder it is, and like you can't just not have protein anymore. Like that's weird. That's how I feel about it. So like it just feels like having to choose between protein and sugar for the rest of my life. So anyways, that's my feelings towards that. And I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone but me, but I thought that was a good way of explaining my problem. Some updates on things that you don't care about. So behind me you can see I have post-its on that board, which is what I use to keep track of my homework. So post-it is supposed to be like 1 hour of homework, but that's sort of fallen by the wayside. But it helps me to divide it into units. But what happened was it got really hot in here at the summer, and so they started falling off because of the moisture on the glass. It was really frustrating. So now I use this notebook, which is actually better because I can carry it around. So I put them all in here. It was separated by like days. Graduation, I won't say much about it, but I'm not graduating in October like I thought it was, which I'm kind of over a little bit, just because there was only a short window of time when I really even believed that that was going to happen, because I wasn't sure if I was going to pass on my courses last year, and you know, blah blah blah, and it didn't seem like it was going to go okay. So it was just a really brief window when I even thought I was going to anyway. But I just made like such a big deal about it with like my family and my friends, and I was looking for an apartment. I was just so excited. So that's over, and I'm trying to be excited about well, you know, the next different chapter of my life, which is going to be basically a vacation with just taking one course. So I'm trying to be excited about that, but I'm pretty bummed. So you need to cheer me up if you're listening to this in some fashion. Be creative. Okay, and I also wanted to talk about my new hair theory. So today I have like the straightened ends, so you can kind of see, especially like here and here, that it's obviously straight at the end. Anyway, so I tried to take a before and after picture because Cheryl requested one. So this is the before picture. Like, it's stupid because when my hair dries, it's like really tight into ringlets, and then normally I like separate it, but I don't separate it if I'm gonna straighten the ends, so it's kind of misleading because here's the after picture. It looks really different. Here's a better after picture, actually. I like this one more. That's me at work later in the day. But it's really hard to explain. But anyways, my theory is that when I do this to my hair and I straighten the ends, makes it look longer, people are nicer to me. And I am getting continuing supporting evidence of this theory every day that I have my hair like this, which isn't every day, because sometimes I sleep in and I just like put it up, or I just like leave it down without straightening it. And people are not as nice, including who I've made the measuring stick of this experiment, boss number 3, because boss number 3 doesn't like me, and when I have straightened ends, he's super nice to me. So I don't know if anyone else has like experienced something like that they've noticed that if they do something a certain way that like people just act differently towards them. Okay, so also what I wanted to say was I promise that the 3rd installment of my movie review series, which I said was going to be all within 6 days, but then there was an incident, I don't remember what it was now, but something happened that prevented me from doing it, and the school started and I got crazy. I will post it within a week. So that's the plan, if you even want to watch that. But I said I was going to do it, and it's been bugging me this entire time. So I gotta do it so I can return those movies to Drew and get it out of my mind. One of the things that I'm gonna do during my 4 months off is, well, like Elisa and I, we made these shirts. Do I have them around? Yeah, okay, we made these shirts with like black paint, black fabric paint, definitely hollows. But we had a lot left over, and I really liked the way that this turned out, especially after washing it a bunch of times. Like, it's really faded. I really like it. Anyways, so I was thinking of getting another tank top and doing another one with the Diet Coke logo on it. So that's one thing I want to do with my time off. This is how I'm coping with it. I think of all the things I can do with my time off, like write and read. Like, here are all the books I have to read. This is my reading list. Kushiel's Dart, which I'm like already kind of halfway through. Bossy Pants, Sammy's House, Flatland, Harry Potter 1, The Wars, Da Vinci Code, Story of Mathematics, Gulliver's Travels, Catcher in the Rye, 12th Night, Asimov's Foundation, One for the Money, Brother at Arms, and Alice in Wonderland. Those are the ones that I want to read right now. They're on this list on my phone. And I'm like trying really hard not to add to that list. This wasn't even supposed to exist past like 3 or 4 books, but people keep thrusting things on me. Anyway, so I can read with my time off. That'll be nice. Okay, this is really long. I said we had a lot to go through, and you kept interrupting me, and this is going to be the longest video ever. It's been like almost 20 minutes of recording. So I'll cut some of that down in editing. My editing magic, my very loud editing magic. So, okay, I'm gonna go because I have so much to do, it's ridiculous, and now I have to edit this, which just keeps getting longer and longer the longer I talk, so I just made that up. I forgot, there was something else I wanted to say. I wanted to announce a couple of things, a couple of video projects that I'm doing. One of them is the Christmas video, which you may or may not have heard of, and you probably think that it went by the way of the cheese video, which is out the window, pretty much at this point. But it's not, because I figured there's no point in like rushing it to edit now, because who wants to view a bunch of like Christmas things in like February when you're like so over Christmas. So I sort of put it on hold because it's busy anyways, and I'm gonna do it when I finish school to have it ready in time for the next Christmas season. So hopefully like end of November, beginning of December, I'll put it out there, and it'll be like a recap of last year's Christmas, looking forward to this year's Christmas. Anyway, so the second thing I'm doing is I'm doing a similar summer recap, and I didn't want to say anything to anyone until I had enough footage to to guarantee that, you know, it's gonna go through. So I've been capturing like pictures and video clips and just sort of keeping them around, and I'm gonna hopefully do a summer recap at the end of summer. So there's that to look forward to also. And if you have any suggestions about how I might go about like putting that together, then I'll take them, because I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do it yet. But I know that I'm going to do it. And you're welcome. Okay, that's really it. I'm sorry. I have to go. What am I doing?